So today we're celebrating the first Sunday of Lent, which it still kind of confuses me on why some Protestant denominations don't celebrate Lent, and it's very solidly observed in the Catholic faith, mainly because when we look at 40 days, the 40 days that Jesus spent fasting before his crucifixion, that 40 days is reflected in the Old Testament too. Like when Moses went up on Mount Sinai, he fasted for 40 days before he wrote down the Ten Commandments. And look at the Israelites, they wandered in the desert for 40 years. And then even as they were approaching Canaan, Moses had sent a group of Israelites ahead, and they waited 40 days before reporting back to Moses and Aaron. So we see 40 as a consistent number, similar to 12 maybe, right? The 12 tribes of Israel, and then also the 12 apostles. So certain numbers are important. And so when we look at Lent and the 40 days, I think that I remember observing it when I was younger, but we didn't do no meat on Fridays necessarily, which is an observance or just recognizing Christ's passion, that on that day we have a specific, an additional thing that we're withholding. So then when we look at self-denial, so we look at Christ dying on the cross, and I guess I could see Protestants not observing Lent from a standpoint of, well, it's not works-based, my salvation is in stone. But I would argue that by saying when Christ died on the cross, he didn't say, oh, I got this, guys, don't worry about it, like, go have fun, you're good. He didn't do that. He called us to be holy as he is holy. He called us to pick up our cross daily and follow him. I mean, Paul, when he talks to the Romans, he says, present your bodies as living sacrifices. And just all of these examples in the Bible where it talks about how we need to deny ourselves and follow Christ. And so if we give something up for Lent, we're able to, maybe when we're younger we give up candy, but as we get older we kind of, at least for me, as I've gotten older, I've seen the value of actually taking the 40 days and really introspecting on what is keeping me from God right now. So I'll hit the snooze button a lot. I tend to just hit it over and over. So that's one thing I'm working on as an overall lifestyle. But especially for Lent, I'm really trying to get up without hitting snooze. So in that, I could suffer an hour of sleep that I could have done. I don't get to spend that time in my bed. So suffering, when Christ died on the cross, and this comes from St. John Paul II's apostolic letter, Salvific Suffering, he talks about how in bringing about the redemption through suffering, Christ has also raised human suffering to the level of redemption. And also, not only is the redemption accomplished through suffering, but also human suffering itself has been redeemed. So even in the Catholic Catechism at 1521, it talks about how suffering, it becomes a participation in the saving work of Jesus. So we have the opportunity to self-deny, to have that self-denial and to unify ourselves with Christ on the cross as a redemptive property. Not that Christ's sacrifice wasn't enough. You know, Paul to the Colossians says, now I rejoice in my sufferings for your sake, and in my flesh I complete what is lacking in Christ's afflictions for the sake of his body, that is the church. So we examine that, and that's not saying that Christ's sacrifice wasn't enough. It's saying that he didn't eliminate suffering. So when he died on the cross, people still get cancer. People still die. We grieve. And if we're truly, we even grieve just the sadness of divorce, or the sadness of what's going on. Like, we have an emotional suffering that even goes on beyond the physical. So suffering still exists. Christ didn't eliminate that, but we have the opportunity to share in that, in the redemptive property. And Lent is such an amazing opportunity to do that, because it's almost as if we're walking with Christ through it. And able to, because he was man, and so we're able to relate to him, and that was why he became man, so that we could relate to God. and that we could see him and see that example. So through Lent we have that. I would encourage you, even if you haven't done anything for Lent, that you would consider it. The early church, I believe it was Irenaeus, that had said that certain regions of the world celebrated Lent differently. Some only celebrated it for a day or for 2 days, and some the full 40. So in our region of the world, we do the full 40. But even if you were to just do the remaining time, or even just the day before Good Friday, or the week before, or however it ends up looking, everyone can take Lent to be whatever it is for them and grow. God will meet us where we are. So he'll acknowledge and respect anything that we do in regard, out of love for him, because just as he loves us, we're called to love him and to follow after him and be that mediator, and be that person that that communicates his love and demonstrates that and is that for him and toward him too. So that's basically all for today, but I'll post this salvific suffering link on my Facebook page if you want to check that out. It's kind of long, but even just skimming through it, and near the bottom, like near the end, it talks more about sharing in the suffering of Christ and more into that. So I think it's Roman numeral 5. So take a look at that if you want, and I'll talk to you guys in the comments, and I'll see you again next week. So enjoy Lent, and have a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.